Greetings here to Merry Married Meeples. I am going to be going over my top 13 games I played solo in this year, 2025, technically last year because this is 2026 now. Couple of things up front. One, this is a companion list. Bry is going to join me. We are going to go over our top 13 games of 2025. That will be coming soon. I'll put a link in the description once that is live. Second, talking about down in that description, I will have a playlist that has all the information pertaining to these games that we have done on the channel, if any. I believe on our list there is just one game that we haven't covered on the channel at all, but everything else we've done, like unboxings, possibly reviews, obviously solo plays, etc. So all that will be compiled in that playlist if you're wanting more information on any of these. Third, I just wanted to go over quickly the criteria I use when making my list. So there's a few factors I look into when I look at them, especially with the top couple, is this a game that I prefer solo over multiplayer? If it is going to rank very high on my list because that is the method I prefer playing. And in one instance, it actually kept the game, is going to probably keep the game in our library. The next one is, does it allow a game that may not normally be able to be played solo because the mechanic isn't normally suited for that, or you don't see many with that mechanic? Does it allow that to be played solo? Again, that kind of ranks highly. And third is the type of solo mode it is. I do not mind beat your score, I do not mind automas, etc. But my preference when it comes to a solo mode is very low upkeep on me for that automa, for how stuff gets played, and preferably really close to the multiplayer game, because most of these I have done multiplayer with Bry, so I'd prefer a game where I can do the multiplayer rules on this solo one, so it's not learning an entire new set of rules for the solo game. All right, so that's a lot of that information. I might even touch on that as I go through my list when it comes to certain games and what the criteria is in regards to those. I will say this is going to be very quick. There are quite a few of these that are going to overlap on the 2023 games. Plus, I want this to be quick, fast, concise to get you the knowledge you need as fast as possible. Even though this has been a long preamble, this long preamble will let you know it is going to get quicker and concise after the quick break, where I go to number 13. So we're starting with number 13, and number 13 is almost a cheat, and that is Formaggio by Road to Infamy Games. So this is 99% the same game as Fromage. So if you enjoyed Fromage Solo, you're going to enjoy this one solo. I did enjoy Fromage Solo, so I enjoyed Formaggio Solo. The main difference with this is obviously 4 different board quadrants that score, and they've added Platinum Cheese, which is you send your worker around the entire way before you can get them back. So in essence, 4 turns. But this is one of those kind of simple ones that I said where it basically plays exactly like the same game. You are going to be taking your turn the same way. The only difference is there's the corporation board that's going to be placing cheese. You flip over an order, you take a piece of cheese, you put it on that type of cheese in the quadrant facing you, and then you can take your turn. If there's not one available, that goes to their scoring pile, etc. So that is a really fun, that is low upkeep. It allows me to play at my own pace. This is one that in multiplayer always kind of goes down for me because I usually optimize and place my cheese out quicker than Bry, so I never feel like she gets an enjoyable or full experience playing it, because it's that, or I have to then kind of slow down how I'm placing my cheese out to let her catch up. So it kind of just seems like I have to play a bit differently when I'm with her to be able to allow her to have the fun and get her cheese out, etc. So by doing it the solo mode, that does reward you for putting your cheese out, quicker and having that firm strategy and going at that pace. So that is why Formaggio is my number 13. Moving on to number 12. Number 12, you can actually see right here, and that is Pack the Essentials. This is a Tetris piece, a polyomino style game coming to us from Wise Wizard Games, I believe. Oh, sorry, Wacky Wizard Games. It is their lighter game imprint. So in this one, you are going to be drafting tiles, filling up your suitcase with different items, and they have different colors, etc. And then the solo mode has certain cards that are going to score differently, and then has it where you're going to be placing out the cat lady in certain places to stop you from drafting things. The thing with this solo mode is it is very similar to how you play the multiplayer, because even in a 2-player, 3-player, you are going to be having where that cat lady, or you're going to have the stack of cards where these other things are going to be getting drafted before you. So it basically just utilizes that, and now there's 3 things getting drafted in addition to your 1 thing, etc. So it is very, very similar to the multiplayer game, just kind of has a couple different cards in relation to it. And I always enjoy these polyomino games. I enjoy the fun puzzle of trying to get everything lined up right. In this one, sometimes you need to be, you'll have certain colors or groups together, and just the kind of the scoring options and the way it maneuvers is something I really enjoyed. One issue I did have with this one, though, is it did seem like the pieces were a little bit smaller than your typical polyomino game. And with you having to put them in a suitcase that's not like double layered, it did seem like pieces did kind of shift around a little bit more because they were like a lighter material. But that was kind of a low on my issues because I did enjoy it, especially solo. So pack the essentials from Wacky Wizard Games. Number 11 is Gems of Iridecia from Rockstone and Dice Games. This is a game that kind of falls into that one where, it has an automa. There is some upkeep, but the upkeep isn't too bad. It is maybe like a touch more than a lot of these other ones, but not enough to where it detracted from me, obviously, as I have it here at my number 11. So with this one, you're going to be moving up the board, collecting gems and tiles, trading those in, getting coins, trying to restore relics, get these little item cards from the store that are going to help you, and all this other various things. Again, all this stuff is in playthroughs and whatnot down below. But what I like about this one is, so as I said, you're moving up. So you're going to have the automa person who is going to be moving up the map as well, and then trying to take the stuff from you. And this automa you can even add into the 2-player game to add that extra player if you want to add some tightness to that 2-player experience. So it is one that I could have learned the automa, played it solo, and still interjected it into Bry and I's games to turn that 2 into a 3-player game. So that is why Gems of Iridecia is my number 11. Number 10, this is one from early in the year, and this is En Route from Crowd Games. This is a draft and write, or as I believe they called it, a stroll and write type of game, where you're going to be having 2 cards, and you're going to use those to get these coordinates to draw these little tourist symbols, and you're trying to construct the best tourist path in a straight line to hit as many landmarks and other scoring conditions. And they'll score based on the color of the tourist, either red triangles, I believe it was, green circles, blue squares, those 3 colors and those 3 shapes together somehow. This is one that slightly changed the way that it plays from a multiplayer because it had to. Because like I said, so typically it's a drafting one. So typically what ends up happening is you as the active player would lay down a card, then players to your left and right each lay down a card, you choose one of their cards to pair with your card, and that creates the coordinates. In a 2-player game, the other player just puts out 2, and then you choose between those. So that is a mechanic that normally wouldn't suit itself to solo. The way that this one does it, though, is you have your card, you play that, and then you have a pyramid of cards that you'll be selecting cards from. So there is still some form of planning that you can do from the visible cards, but then as you're taking out cards, you're revealing other ones because they're face down, except for the cards that you can see. Think of kind of like the pyramid card game, where you only know the bottom row, then when you get rid of these 2, you reveal that one, etc. Except if I remember right, I believe this one, like every other layer was face up. I could be confusing with something else, but I'm pretty sure it was every other layer, so you could kind of see ahead on what you wanted to do. But what I really also like about this one is the amount of content that is in the box. There's tons of different city maps, tons of different ways to do it. One of the expansions adds dice, etc. They did a really good job too of putting a little sheet in there that says, you can use this city with these options. You can use this city with these options, etc. So a ton of replayability, a really cool solo method where you can kind of plan ahead but not fully, and just again putting that fun twist on a drafting-ish type game. So that is why En Route is my number 10. All right, moving to number 9. Number 9 is probably one of the most relaxing ones on my list. Kind of depending on how you think one of the future ones goes, but it is pretty relaxing. And with that is Pergola. So Pergola has you creating your own outdoor space, your own pergola area, your own backyard Zen garden, if you will. You're going to be doing this by drafting these tool tokens. Those tool tokens are going to have different flowers and insects, etc. You're going to place those in your garden. They are all going to score for a wide variety of options. And then from there, that is going to be by an action. You're going to take that action, either moving the drop on your waterfall, which is going to give you more insects, jumping the frog around, getting you more insects, fluttering your insects around for scoring purposes. And the other one is grabbing leaves that will have possible flutter effects or, yes, more insects. And the leaves are actually going to score you points based on colors at the end of the game, etc. This is one, again, plays 99% the same way as multiplayer. This one, you have your tools, and then basically in the solo, a certain tool is going to be getting discarded based on which tool you select, and that's it. So that helps sift through the tools as if someone else is grabbing them. This is a really fun, relaxing game. Like I said, the different scoring conditions for all the different flowers and the different insects is going to reward you for possibly trying to focus in one way and not the other. There's different challenges and levels in the back of the rule book. You know, having certain themes on your board or going a certain way with your board and then trying to achieve a certain goal based on the people around that, the simulated opponents around you, etc. So it is not just a simple beat your own score. Or here's a table of scores and your name is like, you know, top beekeeper of the suburbs or whatever. It is one where you are going to be, you know, have some challenges that you can attempt to complete. And again, that is why Pergola is number 9. Number 8 is Coexist from Matagot. This is one that we backed on GameFound. Didn't seem to get much traction, never really heard much mention of it. But it's a fun, interesting drafting type game again. It's where you're going to be having a display of cards out there with either animals or possibly, I think it's keepers, handlers, I forgot the exact name, but it's basically these little tokens you get, and then you use those tokens to release those animals into the wild, triggering or getting points and triggering abilities or ongoing abilities, etc. It's got a really fun art style. It's almost like that art brush stroke on it. It's got fun decisions to make on when the animals, because then you can also release those animals just to get some tokens in order to basically put them down into your sanctuary, etc. The solo mode, if I remember right, is just you discard the discard moves along and discards a certain card on you. That's it. Otherwise, you can again play the game how you want, going through it. It's just the timer is the deck running out, so you are having to still maximize your moves and can't go exactly at your own pace because those cards are getting discarded on you. But it is one, like I said, fun decisions, which animals to use just to get a bunch of the symbols in order to put out other animals, and you have limited resource storage space on your board as well. So be having to maintain that because as you're storing them on your board, you have less space to bring down animals. It's just a kind of a fun puzzle to optimize your placement and where you're going to use your tokens and how you're going to manage your board. So Coexist, number 8. Number 7 is a holiday game. This is a Christmassy game. It is Spirits of Christmas from Humble Bard Games. So this is one I don't mind playing multiplayer. This is a cooperative game with a little clock that has almost a rondel movement, except you can go either way. But as you're moving, you're having to spend coins. You have a limited amount of coins each one. It's based on a Christmas Carol, so you're going past, present, and future. So each past, present, and future, you have a certain number of coins. You have to spend those to move around. You're doing that to collect coins and move to different parts of the story, and then spending those cards in order to accomplish that part of the story. And then you need to finish the story for each chapter. In order to beat that chapter, you get a certain amount of points. If you win all 3, you see how much you won. The solo game utilizes the counting board variant, which you can use in the multiplayer too, and it basically gives you an assortment of cards out there that you can trade with from your hand to get more. And what's really nice about with the solo one is it kind of manipulates how much coins you need to spend in order to move on the clock, but it also becomes much more of a strategic puzzle because you know what you have in your hand, you can see what's out there, and you're the only one making decisions. So you aren't having to worry about working with someone else because you might have limited communication. So you're not sure what they have and try and maneuver around that, but you do know what you have and you know what you have access here to. So a really cool, fun puzzle of manipulating around and moving Scrooge around, trying to get to the certain pieces, trying to make sure you don't overuse your gold. The other thing in the solo mode is you don't have the chains. The chains you're able to use in a multiplayer to get more coins, so you are very limited to how many coins you have, so you are going to have much tighter movement and having to maintain exactly where you're going to be wanting to go for stuff. All right, but Spirits of Christmas from Humble Bard Games is my number 7. All right, so my number 6 might be a surprise. It's on my list because in my review, I wasn't very kind to it. I've come around a little bit on it, but even in my review, I did say I liked the Solo so much better. And that Solo game that I was on coming around, liked Solo, is Sanctuary from Capstone Games. This is an Ark Nova style game. It's in the same universe, utilizes a lot of the same mechanics of choosing a certain action tile. These action tiles are going to allow you to get these tiles or put a tile out on your board and you're building a map instead of having a bunch of cards. There's a bunch of tiles. Once someone has filled their zoo, gotten rid of their conservation markers, I believe there's a third, I think if a tile stack goes out, etc., the game ends. In a solo game, there's a little stack of tokens you're flipping over that gets rid of a tile on you. If that stack runs out, the game is over, etc. Then you do a bunch of scoring. All the tiles have various different scoring conditions. There's conservation board scoring. There's a whole table of scoring. Again, all the information and videos are down below. So the reason I was never a huge fan of this game multiplayer is a lot of the stuff made me just prefer Ark Nova over the game's powers. However, I played Ark Nova solo out of the box, the out of the box rules, not any fan-made ones, and it was okay. I enjoyed the solo mode of this one. It let me build out my zoo how I wanted to. It let me, again, play at my own pace. That's a big thing with a lot of these ones that are very similar to the multiplayer, is it lets me play at my own pace and not have to wait on other people to make a decision. Makes me kind of sound antisocial, but I like things, the speed, I like them. So take that for what you will. So that is kind of why I did like Sanctuary a lot better solo, is because I'm not waiting on the decisions of someone else on what they're going to grab or how they're going to maneuver the stuff. And then the scoring on this can be a bit ridiculous and involved. So when you do only have the one person scoring, you're not having to do that for two people. Alrighty, so that is why number 6 is Sanctuary. Number 5 is going to be the smallest game on my list, and that game is Wine Cellar from 25th Century Games. This is the one that's going to fit into that one where you're not used to these types of games having a solo mode, but this does have a solo mode, and it does it well, because there's sometimes that they put them in and it's like, well, that was just an afterthought. Wine Cellar is a bidding type game. You're going to have these bottles of wine out there. You're going to take a card from your hand. You're going to play it. Your opponent's going to play one. You're going to bid. Whoever has the highest number gets to take it. You put it in your wine cellar. You have to watch how you're building your bottles because you can't insert them. You either have to add it above or below. And they're going to want to score in certain areas in like a downward one. So your top one's going to score for your leftmost. Your bottom's going to score for your rightmost, going down like that. This one is basically, there's going to be a AI deck that's going to have 2 cards flipped over. You're going to play a card, and then the card they play is going to be based on certain parameters. So it's really quick, it's fast, it does what it needs to do, and it allows you to play the game solo. And that is one of the things I really like. Like I said, you don't normally get those bidding games that have that solo mode because you need to try and replicate that other player. And this one does a good job of doing that. All right, so that is why Wine Cellar from 25th Century Games is my number 5. Number 4 is another one of those ones where the game mechanisms don't typically relate well to a solo rule set. And that is Manatee Sanctuary from Warped Reality Games. So when you play as multiplayer, this is almost like an I split, you choose type game. What it is each person's going to have a hand of 5 cards. They're going to split those into 2 things, pass them to their opponent. Their opponent's going to choose one to keep and one to bring back. You're going to do the same. So you're going to have these still 2 hands of cards, combine them, and then build out your Manatee Sanctuary. Using the cards for a couple different things, either putting them into your sanctuary as a spot to house manatees, or by using them for their actions, which is going to be usually grabbing manatees, etc. So the way this implements the solo is you're basically going to grab 2 cards. You're going to choose one to keep and one to discard. Then how that's going to manage you just not overloading yourself on powerful cards is there's these dots on them that are using the multiplayer too. The more dots, the more powerful the card is. So if you keep the more powerful one, you're going to increase this token up, and that's going to be negative points at the end of each round. If you choose a lesser powered one, it's going to go down. So it's a good way of trying to keep it so you're balancing your handout and how things operate. And then once you get 5 cards, you can go about your day. This is one that actually isn't too slow when I play with Bri. She was pretty quick about choosing them, so it's not necessarily a pace of play for this one. It is more so, like I said, where you can choose when you choose your cards and being able to utilize that I split you choose almost in that method and implementing it in a solo version that still is thinky and puzzly as you're trying to put out your cards. If I remember right, there's also kind of different levels and different ways that you can play to kind of change it up from just the basic one. There's, I believe, like challenge cards and etc. All right, so Manatee Sanctuary number 4. Number 3 is my last game that came out in the first half of the year. They actually just had a second edition reprint of this and added another expansion, and that is Cretaceous Rails. This is a game that's got a really cool big production. It's a big box. You get these little plastic dinosaurs. You have these big, thick, chunky tree meeples. You have plastic tourists that go on there. And it's a cool one where you're going to have these grid of actions. And what's going to happen on your turn is you're going to take your little marker, you're going to put it between 2 actions, and you're going to do both actions. Those actions are going to vary between building out your resort, or laying down more train on the tracks, or bringing a dinosaur back, or bringing trees back, or tourists back. And then you're going to use those tourists and those dinosaurs to build out your resort. And those are going to score certain ways. And those are going to give you special powers in relation to everything else that's going on. The solo mode is really well done because it's basically a deck. You flip it over and it shows you where the thing goes. And then where it goes, it does certain actions. And those actions are depicted on its board. And then if there's ever a tie on or where it's going to have to go, or how you're going to have to maneuver things, you just work your way from top to bottom. So it's a game that has a great production, has a great solo player board that has almost all the information you need on it. It is still challenging because their points balloon really quick, especially near the end of the game. So you're still having to optimize your movements in that regards. It's also just a game overall that I really enjoy because of how everything ties in and mechanically works together. You want to grab the dinosaurs, but in order to grab the dinosaurs, you need to clear out the trees. And then if you do a certain way of traveling, that's how you also get points and moving up the ladder in this one thing. So everything's really well tied together that you need to figure out, well, which one am I going to focus on? What am I wanting to push up? And when is the right time to take this dinosaur? When's the right time to take these tourists? When's the right time to do this? When's the right time to do that? A really cool, fun puzzle in regards to that. All right, so number 3, Cretaceous Rails. All right, my number 2 is the heaviest box. It is the other one that I said some people may see this as a relaxing game. Kind of when I was talking about Pergola. This is one that was a long time coming. This is one I have misplaced my metal coins because I bought them a while ago, so I still need to find them. And that is Vantage from Stonemaier Games. So this is one I will play it 2-player if need be. If Bri wants to play it, we'll grab it 2 players. But it's one, if you're not sure, so Vantage is a big open world game about discovery where you're going to start at a card, you're going to do certain actions, roll dice for it, etc. You're getting new cards, and you're just trying to figure out where to go to accomplish your missions and how to do things. The reason I prefer it solo is this way I can focus on my story. Because when you play 2-player, you each are on in different areas. So it's not like you're making a decision together. They're making a decision based on where they are. I'm making a decision based on where I am. So it's almost like you're kind of playing 2-player solo. You can maybe try and figure stuff out, and you are both trying to accomplish the same thing, but it's not like you're in the sections together and working your way that way. So that's why I do kind of prefer it solo. Again, it's my own pace type of thing. I'm not having to stop my story the way I'm doing things to be able to help Bri to read Bri her story, etc. They also have a rules pop digital one, so you don't have to keep thumbing through the books. So that speeds it up even more to where you can really just kind of immerse yourself in the world and the gameplay and really analyze the cards and how things are going. So that is why it is high on my list, because it is a game that I much prefer playing solo, and is one that, if I had my choice, I would definitely play it solo only. And finally, my number 1. So this is the one that I got to that I don't think we're ever going to play this multiplayer again. Bri's like, I don't know. I'm like, yeah, more than likely we're not. However, once I played the solo mode, it was so much better a type of game, especially for the way we play. And that is Night Soil from Grail Games. So basically this game is all about poop. And throughout the day phase, you're going to be going around, taking actions, getting cards, getting money, moving on tracks, etc. And then as you're putting out workers, they're creating waste. And then in the nighttime phase, you're going to be going back and forth using your workers to shift the poop around the city, trying to get it out into the River Thames and dispose of it, and that gets you income. Thing is as you're putting workers out, they're not your specific workers. It's whoever ends up cleaning that area completely is going to get those workers. So in a multiplayer game, it ended up being me being nice because I didn't want to hog all the workers by optimizing where all the poop went. So I basically kind of changed the way I did things so Bri could get workers. In a solo game, it is very much more a puzzle. What it is you are going to have 5 days, and you need in those 5 days to get all the poop off the map, including all the places that are placed on top with the different guilds. Normally, you get income at the end of each day based on how much poop you've collected. That is not the case in this. So money is a lot tighter. So having to manage, where are the full neighborhoods? Let's get the coins from there. Where are the spots that do give you coins? In addition to that, you have a deck that's going to be getting flipped over and adding poop to the board, or possibly their advertising sign. If their signage is there, then even if you clean that, you don't get the stuff. You have to remove the sign by taking a different action throughout the day. The money also helps you move up on those tracks, and it also helps you with buying more workers in order to move that poop around. So money is very important in the game. So this adds that other element to the puzzle of trying to manage and get the right expenses, etc. So that is why my number one is Night Soil. Is it the best game ever that I played this year? No, but it is the game that I find matches the criteria I set forth of, would this game get played any other way except for solo? No, it's not. Did I really enjoy my play of solo? Yes. What was the difference between like my multiplayer and my solo play? This was the greatest rise in the amount of enjoyment I had in a game from that, and that is why I am putting it at my list of number one for Night Soil. Alrighty, so hope you enjoyed that. Hope you've learned about some new games you may not have known. What was the best game you played solo that came out in 2025? Go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. And while you're commenting, you can please go ahead and like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Ring the bell to be alerted as we list more videos. And you can see all of the new stuff that's coming out in 2026 and maybe see what the games that we are going to put on my list next year for the top games of 2026. Also, go ahead and share the video. That way more people can learn about solo games and these solo games in particular. Finally, if you are looking to help support the channel, we have a variety of ways to do that monetarily. We are partners with Dubby. Dubby is a powdered energy drink. They have a wide variety of flavors that I enjoy, about 70-75% of them, but the ones I do enjoy are very good. If you're looking to purchase board games, possibly even all these, you can go ahead and check out Miniature Market. We have a link down below for Miniature Market. You can go ahead and hit that link and see, if these games are there or other games you want, and then we get a portion of those sales. Finally, one of our newest ones is Deutsch. Deutsch is snacking dough. It is the beginning of the year. Are you looking to be a bit more healthier but still get your sweet fix? Well, then we have Deutsch snacking cookie dough. Again, down below in the description will be a link. You utilize our link, and we go ahead and get a portion of those sales. And then finally, the world did not end at midnight, but you have a game that you can play that would be like the end of the world, and that is Doomlings. Doomlings is a fun card game. We've covered it here on the channel quite a bit, especially in short form as we've gone over all the different modules. We have a link down below where you can go ahead and use that link, and we get a portion of those sales. You can also use the code MEEPLES to get a discount on your purchase. Alrighty. That is a long rambling end to say thank you for watching. Hope you check out our 2025 video where Bri will join me and we cover all our favorite games from 2025. I think I said 2025 an awful lot of times. Either way, we're wrapping this up, and I will see you in 2026 because we're here now.